And what happened to Daeb? How far do you need to be driven to arrange such a thing? Cho asked. We see Chun, who is very nervous. Yes, it will definitely be better if you disappear. I downloaded the Cho. We see a serious-minded Cho. Do you think you've contacted us and can get away with it? Do you even know how many other people are behind me? Beast, no puppy has ever gotten away with anything after contacting us. Chun shouted while sitting on the floor. I hear you know your big brother from Guanghe. One word from me and he'll kill you all, Chun said. Meanwhile, Cho listened to the screams from the bandit. Okay, give him my regards, Cho said, holding Chun's head. You, what are you doing? Chun asked. We see Chun, who is afraid of what might happen to him in the near future. Let me go, Chun shouted. We see Cho dragging Chun by the head in the direction of the barrel where the pieces of wood were burning. Stop, you, Chun was speaking. We see that Chun's head has already approached the barrel of burning wood. We see Chun's fear. What is it about Joe Hangul that makes you so afraid of him? We could just send more guys to deal with him, Chun said as he continued talking to the man in the shadows. That would be nice, but do you know why no one in Guanghe is doing anything to him? The shadowy man asked. The fact is that everyone knows if they do not work out. The man in the shadows continued. We see Chun's surprised face. We can see that Chun's head is already very close to the fire barrel. He won't let it go that easily. The man in the shadows continued his speech. We see Chun's face moving closer to the fire. Wait a minute. Isn't that enough already? Chun asked. We can see the fear on his face. You started it yourself. Did you think you could just skip the final? Cho asked. Wait a minute. We see Chun yelling for clemency. You could have killed them all, Cho said. We see a flashback in which we are shown how miraculously Joe Hangul's family was saved last time. If you weren't prepared for this, we see that Chun's head is approaching the fire. Then you shouldn't have contacted us. We see Cho's angry face, and the way the head of the family puts Chun's head in the fire. We see Chun screams as he screams in pain. He flew backward, and the barrel tipped over with him. We see the fall of the barrel and the fall of the representative of the gang Guanghe. Chun is rolling around on the floor with burns on his face. We see Chun screams as Cho watches the bandit. Shut up, Cho said as he put his foot on Chun's head. That was the first time I saw it, Lim thought. We see Lim lying on the ground. How scary is Joe Hangul, Lim thought. We see Chun lying on the floor with his face burned. Lift, Cho said. He tried to wake Cha up. Cho said to Lim, who was lying on the floor. It's a hell of a lot to live here, isn't it? Cho asked Lim, smiling as he carried Cha on his back. Let's go home, Cho said. We see the main character smiling. Thanks to Hangul's amazing efforts, we miraculously managed to survive the battle with Guanghe, Lim thought. We see Hangul's family leave the abandoned building after suffering significant damage. However, Lim thought, we see a man standing over Chun. We didn't even know it yet, Lim thought. We see a group of people who are part of the Guanghe gang. What are our problems with Guanghe? They were just beginning, Lim thought. We see an unknown person talking on the phone. After that incident, we were taken to the hospital for a long time. However, it was not an easy task to pay off the hospital bills when none of us could work, Lim was telling me. We see the number of the hospital room where Hangul's entire family was staying. But fortunately, the owner of the pizzeria heard about what happened and helped us. He was probably trying to thank us for taking care of Jun Kai-woon. A payment has already been made for you, a hospital employee said. We see the surprised faces of everyone from Hangul's family. Since then, Guanghe has not been heard from in this part of the district, Lim thought. We see the area where the main character lives. Chun Kai-woon, who had kept the area under tight control, disappeared. All this was accompanied by rumors that Joe Hangul was the one who got rid of Jun Kai-woon. Lim was telling me. Joe Hangul's family is here. Some of the gangsters in Guanghe were talking. It would be great if it solved all the problems, but Lim said. Guanghe for sure, Cho says. We see that Hangel's entire family is already at home. Come back soon, Joe Hangel said. We see a close-up of Cho. They still have plenty of people to replace Jun Kai-woong. We see a flashback with Chun's face. They're not very cohesive as a group because they use money to get street kids to do their jobs. And if they send someone like Chun Kai-un to handle the money issue, they will immediately continue to do their dirty business here. Cho was telling me. We see the phone that received the message from Guanghe. And after what happened to the bat swinger, the first people they'll come after will be us, Cho said. We see a calm expression on his face. We need to decide whether we leave here or stay and prepare for battle, Cho said. We see the main character in close-up. Hey, said Cha. We can see Cho's surprise. You brought us here, so you should know that we have nowhere else to go. Cha said. We see Cha's smile. Our place is here, Cha said. We see Joe Hangel's entire family. Hyung. Lim turned to Cho. I wanted to talk about something. And what is clearly not about the fact that you are leaving, Cho said. Is there? Lim said. We see a conversation between Lim and Cho. A faster way to become stronger than the one we used before? The main character asked his coach. What? Cho asked. We see the continuation of their conversation. Don't run ahead of the engine. You're already a fast learner. To be honest, I didn't even think that you would be able to master what you already have, Cho said. I know I've changed a bit, Lim said. We see two characters standing on the roof. But that fight made it clear to me just how weak I was still. I wasn't even close to the other guys, and I almost became a burden to them. If there's a fight, I don't want to drag everyone down, Lim said. We see a flashback in which the main character recalls how he fought against the gang Guanghe. And before Guanghe returns, at least I won't be as strong as you. But at the very least, I want to become equal in strength to the others, Lim said. We can see that the main character is serious. Cho was surprised by Lim's words. The speed at which I'm teaching you is the best I can do, Cho said. And there is no other way, Lim asked. We see the main character from the side. Since you insist. It will be a bit difficult, but there is still one way, Cho said. I think we'll start with a special lesson, Cho said. We see a smile on the face of the main character's coach. We see a serious-minded main character. We see a pizzeria where the main character works. Now that Guanghe was gone, the restaurant was quiet, and because of the smaller number of applicants, it became easier to cope with everything. We see how the main character works. I don't know how much longer this idyll will last, but I hope for as long as possible. We see a restaurant owner who also works hard. Naeun, are you home from school yet? Lim asked. We can see how Lim did the job assigned to him. We see Naeun taking out the trash. Naeun? Lim asked. We see Naeun, who is in a state of shock. We can see Naeun's hand shaking. What's wrong? Lim asked. We can see Lim's surprise. And no, nothing like that, Naeun answered. What happened? I've never seen her look so worried. Speaking of which, Dajun, don't you go to school? Naeun asked. Well, the thing is, Lim says. We see a joyful Naeun. I don't think school is my thing, Lim said. Really? Then what do you do all the time? Naeun asked. I work here. Clean my house. Work here, says Lim. So you're just working, Naeun answered. We see a dialogue on the street between two characters. Dajun, Naeun said. We get a close-up of Naeun. Do you want to go out after school tomorrow? Naeun asked. Eh? Of course, the main character said while smiling. Then I'll be waiting for you in front of the restaurant tomorrow when I'm done, Naeun said. Okay, tomorrow Naeun and I. Lim thought. We see a happy Lim. What? Am I with Naeun? We see the reddened face of the main character. The next day, we see the school where Naeun is studying. Naeun was late, so I went to meet her at the school. Naeun thought. We see surprised schoolchildren. Ah, Lim thought. I want to sink through the ground, thought Lim. We see the main character who is shy about his appearance. What? Are you going to meet a girl like this? Cha asked. We see a flashback in which Cha helps Lim get ready to meet a girl. It's all Cha fucking's fault, Lim thought. Whatever, it's more important now. What do I do now? We see Lim looking at himself through the window of the car that's parked in the parking lot. Whether it's normal? Do I look good? Lim thinks. We see the main character's reflection in the car window. Haha. Schoolgirls were laughing. Lim covered his ears with his hands. I'm sure they're just thinking, this loser is trying to make himself look pretty, Lim thought. Here yesterday in a cafe, of course, achidili haha, one of the schoolgirls said. We see schoolchildren and teachers. After all this time, it's so unusual to be near a school. It would seem that until recently I myself also went to school in uniform. We see schoolchildren. But it feels like it was in another life, Lim thought. We see Lim watching the students from the side. Strange, Nayeon is taking a long time. We see Lim looking at the school grounds. Nayeon? Lim asked himself. We see that Nayeon is surrounded by some students. One of them held out a toy to Nayeon. I'll take care of you, Nayeon, the schoolboy said as he handed the toy to Nayeon. This guy, the main character thought. Hey, Dongha only treats you like this. Isn't he a great guy? Donghee's acquaintances were talking. We can see that Nayeon doesn't have a face from this gift. Naturally, she has a handsome boyfriend. Someone like me, even with all the effort, can't look like this, Lim thought as he watched Donghee and Nayeon interact. Don't throw the doll away this time, Nayeon, Dongha said. But why does she have that expression? Lim thought. We can see that Nayeon doesn't have a face. We see Nayeon drop the toy on the ground. How did you know I threw it away? Nayeon asked. At the same time, the girl shakes while talking to Dongha. You put a camera in there too, didn't you? Nayeon asked. We see a close-up of a toy that has a broken eye, and you can see that there is a camera inside. We can see Lim's surprise. Ha ha ha. Dongha was laughing. We see a frustrated Nayeon. Well, wow, we are observant, Dongha said. We see Dongha's angry expression. And when did you find out? They are not so easy to get. Such a good thing was ruined by haha, Dongha said. Well, since things turned out this way, Dongha said, we get a close-up of Nayeon, who is shaking all over and has no face at all. Come with me, beast, Dongha said. We see him reach out his hands to Nayeon. We see the movement of an object. What the hell is this guy? Dongha asks. Dongha looked at Lim. Look what the fucker's wearing, haha. And the way you slicked up your hair, it doesn't suit you, lol. It was Dongha who spoke. We see all the characters from the outside. Lim grabbed Dongha's arm. Hey there, Lim said. We see the aura that comes from Lim. Have you ever been beaten up by a loser? Lim said. We see Lim's serious expression. We can see the surprise on Donghee's face. What did that fool just say? Dongha said. Have you decided to build a hero out of yourself? What a joke. Comrade, Donghee said. We can see that the students had fun after the words of the main character. Hey, stop fucking suffering, Dongha said. We see that he took his hand away. And get lost, you idiot, Dongha said, grabbing Lim's head with his palm. Let's go, young Nayeon, Dongha said as he grabbed Nayeon's hand. Let me go, Nayeon was shouting. Hey, Dongha, a fellow hooligan said. We see Dongha look at his companion. At this time, Lim threw a right-hand punch to Donghee's face. The bastard is crazy, Donghee's companion said from behind him. Don't you dare touch Nayeon, said the main character standing in a boxing stance. Ha, what a sucker. I'd rather leave while I still had the chance, Dongha said. We see that he blew his nose to clear the blood that was in it. Well, you asked for it, Dongha said while also taking a boxing stance. Is this guy a boxer? Lim thought as he assessed his opponent's stance. Looks like you've been practicing a little, Dongha said while dodging the main character's punch. But you think, Dongha said, we can see the smile on his face. Will it work against me? Dongha then delivered an uppercut to the main character's head. "Dajun," Naeun said. We see that the kick hit the target and Lim fell to his knees. "That asshole," Lim thought. "Strong," Lim continued his thought. "I feel bad for that brat, he just got into a fight with an ex-boxer." "Comrade," Donghi said. "Who boxes like that anyway?" Dongha asked, flexing his shoulder. "Let me show you how to do it," Dongha said. We see full confidence in his words from the former boxer. "Do you think this is sparring?" Lim asked. "I'll smash your head in if you keep talking this nonsense," Lim said. The main character's smile never left his face. Lim is confident in his abilities. Rising to his feet, he resumed his stance. "What a freak," Dongha said. "We can see the smile on his face." "Decided to show yourself in front of a girl," Dongha said. At the same time, the former athlete took a stance and prepared for the fight. "Stop, Dongha," the boxer's acquaintance said. We see Dongha shift his gaze to his companion. "It's better to leave it at that. We are still at school, and if people still run in, teachers will come soon," the boxer's comrade said. We can see that a crowd has already started to gather around the fight and is filming the main character and Donghee's fight. We see Donghee's displeased face. "What are you looking at?" Donghee's comrades spoke to the audience who had gathered for the fight. Dongha himself turned around and left. "So your name is Daejun?" Dongha asked. We can see the anxiety on Lim's face. "I remember your face," Dongha said. The look on his face suggested that the former boxer was determined to deal with the main character seriously. Lim also understood the gravity of the situation. Naeun didn't have a face at this time. We see a cafe. Lim drinks his iced drink and thinks about how bitter it is. "Naeun?" Lim asked. "Is this guy always hitting on you?" Lim asked his friend. Naeun finds it hard to answer. "Naeun, I know it's hard for you to talk about it." The main character continued. He's been in a similar situation himself not too long ago, so he understands perfectly well the situation his girlfriend is in, and the expression on Lim's face says it all. "I was bullied at school too. When I wanted to talk about it, I felt like I was just throwing my problems off to others, so I kept everything to myself, left alone with the thoughts that tormented me," Lim thought. We see flashbacks in which the main character remembers how he had to when he was in school and what hell he went through. "Now that I think about it, it would be much better if I opened up to someone. Over time, the situation will not resolve itself," Lim said. We see drinks that students bought. "Naeun, you always keep things to yourself at school and at the restaurant." If this continues, the main character spoke. We see flashbacks of various scenes where Naeun felt uncomfortable and tried not to express her emotions and kept everything to herself. "Then at one point you'll just snap," Lim said. We get a close-up of Naeun's face. "So it was with me. And I really hope that things will turn out differently for you," Lim said. We see a flashback in which Lim pushed Lee Doyoung, who bullied Lim every day, under the car. "I'll help you," Lim said. We see a smile on the main character's face. Naeun started to cry. "Bajun, this is too hard." We see that Naeun couldn't hold back her tears and they began to flow. "That bastard son Dongha," Naeun said. We see Lim's focused face. "We happen to be in the same class together, and when we first met at the beginning of the semester, he seemed like a nice guy. I really thought so." We see some very good communication between Donghoi and Naeun, until one day he started acting weird. We see Donghee's hand reaching for Naeun's body. "Oh, I'm sorry," Dongha said. We can see that such actions on Donghee's part caused Naeun to shake. "Did I touch you?" Dongha asked. At first, he did things that barely crossed the line, making up all the excuses for it. Naeun told me. We see Donghu having fun with what he's doing. After a while, when I finally realized that something was wrong. Naeun told me. "Sorry," Naeun's classmate said. "Wow, you jerk really did it, haha," Dongha said. We see Donghu and his friends. "I was already his plaything." Naeun continued her story. "Can you prove that I made him do it?" "Yes, and Dongha spoke. We see Naeun's confused face. What would you do even if I said something to him, huh? Dongha asked arrogantly. Every time Sung Dongha came to school, he tried to harass me. I wanted to ask for help, but... Naeun continued her story. We see a teddy bear. Also here, we can see that Naeun is completely downcast from the constant harassment from the former boxer. My father was already having a hard time with Gwanghi. How could I tell him that his daughter was going through the same thing at school? Naeun said. The tears didn't stop pouring down her cheeks. The main character was inspired by Naeun's words. I didn't know anything. She always looked so cheerful. Who would have thought that she went through this every day? Lim thought. We see that Lim and Naeun said their goodbyes and went about their business after a coffee shop meeting. This bastard is a must. We see Lim's face that is full of hatred for Donghi. Hey, are you going to sing at all? Dongha spoke. We see karaoke. I asked. Are you going to sing? Dongha asked as he held the girl in his arms. Why are you so stuffy? Dongha asked. We can see that the girls who are around Dongha are not comfortable.